And then you had a phase that you went through in your life that, no, I don't know if many people know about it, but it's something that I've called you on this podcast for. So what was this phase and what happened?
I had a problem with walking since like I think 2020 and 21. And I was wondering like, okay, maybe it's just a kind of a patch, or maybe I put on too much weight or something's like just stuck. Maybe I just got to pull it, or let's go to a chiropractor, let's go here or there. So I was like, what the hell is wrong with this hip? I just can't get the better of it. And because I thought I was putting on too much weight, I joined MMA, which obviously increased the severity of the problem. And I don't know what was happening, but it was only worsening. So then there came a time where I just couldn't even stand up and cook in the kitchen. I couldn't even stand up actually. I just couldn't stand. I was like always bent over and kind of, walking like a rounded bear, like very in staccato motions. And I'm like, oh, this is not happening. Something is really very, very wrong in the system. So I went and got my back checked because I thought it was maybe my spine. So I did that treatment for about 3 months and I was okay. My back became okay. But I still couldn't put weight on my leg. And then I started limping, in a very odd manner. Limping in a very odd way, so I would take my leg and stick it out and put it back in. And that became a kind of a motion which I had, mastered so fast, but you could make out something was amiss, the way I was walking. So that kind of worsened it. And being an actress, I just didn't want to give in to think that, okay, I need to look at this and something could be majorly wrong. And I was always of the attitude that, no, 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 it's nothing, it'll go, be positive, kind of do some exercises, do some stretching. But it only got worse. And then finally, I had to sit and take a couple of MRIs because my knees started giving way because of this, odd movements that I had started making, and everything was compromised in my body, right? My ankles, my knees, my back. I have scoliosis of the spine. I had so many other issues. And then I started taking MRIs, I took CT scans, I took everything. And they just said that maybe you got an AVN, avascular nerve, which is being pressed. So I'm like, okay, so what's the solution? So they said usually people who are alcoholics and people who have taken a lot of steroids get it. So I said, listen, I'm not an alcoholic, you can make out. And I have not taken any steroids. I mean, I don't need to take steroids. What will I do with all the extra energy, or whatever it is? And they were also puzzled, everyone was really puzzled as to what the hell actually happened to you. And then as fate would have it, I mean, no, not as fate would have it right now, but then obviously I became very depressed during this phase because I did not have any answers. And I started limping, and I started, using a stick, which was something that I really couldn't see myself with. My kids used to be like, don't use a stick, mom, when we go out. We'll, hold you, don't use a stick. And it had become kind of really painful for me, so much so that, I mean, I know my girlfriends wanted me to have fun, wanted me to get out. Obviously they didn't understand the severity of the situation at that time either. So they went abroad and they said, we're not going to go out without you. We've planned this vacation and we're going to take you. So I went on this vacation on a wheelchair, but every time we went out in the evening, I would just be crawling back to my room in such severe pain. And I was always on, painkillers. Every time I went out, people thought I was okay, but I was not okay. I was really, really, really not okay. I was just stuffing myself with painkillers. And then there came a time where I said, okay, this can't continue. This can't be my life. And I just started speaking very negatively to myself. I went into a zone which was so unlike Atana's. I started becoming bitter, negative self talk, kind of started holding on to any bit of straw which I thought would give me peace or, would help me let go. So I went into chanting, I went into healing, um, sound healing, chakra healing, crystal healing. Any modality which I thought would help me, I would just keep on grasping at those straws. But nothing helped me. And finally, I came across this ad in the Instagram about NLP, and I said, my friend did this, and she's my NLP trainer. Like, she used to train me all the time because we were in school together, and she used to be my coach. And I knew she had done NLP, so I knew it was a modality that was really high end. You really needed your brains out there. And I'm like, I never had the time to do this. Now I have all the time in the world because I'm not really doing anything. So I said, if I can't make myself get out of the room, then I need my mind to get out there. If my feet can't walk, my brain has to walk. So I'm like, okay, so I credit myself to much more knowledge than everyone thinks I have and brains. Just because I'm an actress doesn't mean I'm dumb. So I said, chalo, let's get on to this. So I joined the class and I started learning NLP. And once my teacher started teaching and teaching us the techniques, and I started using it on myself, and I was a very diligent student because, hey, I was like in this for the long haul, right? I really wanted this to help me. And I was so scared of what the future is going to hold for me that I used to go every week on the days on dot, study like a proper student, take down notes, rehear it, hear the recording, read between the lines, make my notes. And I really started studying a lot about NLP. And as I was doing that, I found myself opening up from inside to out. And I found that the situation was the same, my pain was the same, the surrounding was the same. My kids were irritating me as much. My husband was really not of any help because he really didn't know how to help me. Everything was the same. But something in me changed. Something in me completely changed. And I was feeling very happy inside. I felt that, I am the power that's going to change my own life. I don't have to look beyond. And the minute I changed my frequency, I changed my life. Because when you're vibrating at another frequency, you can't carry along anything that's not vibrating at your frequency.
Yeah.
It's like you cannot move out of a supermarket with goods that you haven't paid for. Okay, you're going to get caught. It's impossible. All right. So I moved out of that space that I had put myself into, and I found that I was naturally attracting my, better friends, better conversations, and I attracted two of the biggest serials that I did, and I was only asked to come for 5 days a month. So, the universe was serving me exactly what I needed. I needed to get out there. I needed to meet people. I needed to show myself that I was still good at my work. And the serial was a great hit. Both the series were number one on their channel. I was a great part of it. It made me feel good about myself, my work once again. And I also knew that my identity wasn't only the work that I was doing. Now the identity was me also, because I was working on myself, the core of what was Tanaz. And I think that way I manifested the best doctor who actually found the cure for me. And it was so funny because I went to him at a time when I was just leaving for a vacation with my family for my mother-in-law's 80th birthday. We were leaving for London in about a week. And I had just casually gone to him for an injection. I'm like, just give me a painkiller and I want to enjoy my vacation with my family. And when I come back, we'll see what has to be done. But when he saw my reports, which all the other doctors had also seen, mind you, I had shown it to sports specialists, I had shown it to the who's who. Everyone had seen my report. Only this man told me, this doctor told me, Dr. Rajesh Dharia, that when you will come back without an intervention, you'll never be the same again. You'll never be able to walk again the way you want to walk. And he's like, you will have to do it. There are no two ways about it. And that kind of made me think that, okay, chalo, there's a solution. I never thought of that before. He explained everything to me. I went for my holiday again on a wheelchair. I spent the entire vacation wherever we went sightseeing on a wheelchair. My husband took took me everywhere, pushed me everywhere. I'm sure it must have been really, really difficult. But at least now he knew, okay, chalo, there's something wrong and we're going towards a solution. So he helped me out there. When I came back, I called up the doctor and I said, okay, 9th November, you're operating on me and I'm going to be perfectly fine. So we went ahead with the operation, the surgery. Trust me, he was more than a surgeon to me. He was more like a therapist because he saw me crying so much after surgery, so much. He was like, let her cry because it's so much of pent up anxiety and trauma that has been sitting there. And he's like, you're a really strong girl, Tanaz, because I've read up on you. I have seen everything that you stand for. Uh, he booked the room for me. The room came up also to a number 9. And he mentioned that to me, which I was like, wow, that's so bizarre for someone to meet you at the same, to resonate with you at that same space. And, the way he spoke to me, the way he dealt with me, I was very, very happy. Everything was great. And after the surgery on day 0, okay, they wheeled me into the room, and you would not believe it that when they made me stand up, because that's the rule of all the surgeons right now, they want you to stand up, right after surgery. They don't want you to lie there forever. So right after surgery, on day 0, 2 nurses came. They held me up and they're like, slowly, slowly, just stand up. When I stood up,